DJI has just released new updates for the Mini 3 Pro, the RC and the Fly app. Now, I don't normally do drone update type videos, but there are some really exciting new features that have been added with this update, and I want to walk through them, explain what they are so that you know how they work and when you should use them. Let's jump right in. Starting with the DJI RC specific updates. If you update the controller to the new firmware, which is 1.02, it will gain support for the Air 2S. This is great news if you fly or own an Air 2S. You can now fly that drone with the DJI RC controller. Another great new feature added to the RC, which will be useful for a lot of people, especially if you edit your videos on something like a mobile phone or any mobile device, is Fly Share. Now, up until this point, we've been able to get videos and photos from our drone onto our mobile phone using quick transfer, but we haven't been able to get them off the DJI RC onto our mobile device. Well, now we can. To use this new feature, it's super simple. On the RC, tap the album icon in the bottom left corner, or go into the media folder by clicking this icon here. Then in the top right corner, you will now see a new icon, which looks like a remote with a wireless symbol. Tap that, and then with the DJI Fly app open on your mobile device, and remember the Fly app will need updated to the latest version, which is 1.7.8, or later if you haven't already updated it. Click album and then tap quick transfer. Then tap the new QR scan icon and then scan the QR code with your mobile device to start the connection, and then you will be connected to Fly Share. Now that you're connected, you can simply download them videos and photos off your RC and onto your mobile phone. Moving on to the Mini 3 Pro now, and we get a bunch of exciting new features for this drone, some of which we have been asking for a while now. To start, you want to make sure your drone is updated to firmware version 1.00.04. Now, the first thing on the list of updates for this drone is the FAA's remote ID requirements in the United States. Now, I wanted to focus more on the camera updates that have come with this new firmware, but I wanted to quickly mention it because it is included with this update. Now, with that out of the way, let's move on to the first big update we get for the drone's camera. So Master Shots now works in portrait mode. Master Shots, if you don't know, is a feature in which you can select a subject or point of interest by drawing a box around it. Then when you hit start, the drone will automatically plan a flight route that incorporates multiple drone moves, flies it automatically, and then comes back a few minutes later with a finished video. Well, now this feature works in portrait mode. You simply tap the portrait mode button to rotate the gimbal and then use Master Shots exactly the same way as you would in a horizontal orientation. This is great news as it means you can now use Master Shots to get in vertical videos, which are great for things like Instagram and TikTok. Now, another big new feature added to the settings menu of the drone, which is a feature a lot of people have been asking for a while, is style parameters. And these allow you to adjust some of the post-processing effects added to the videos and photos your drone takes. We have a sharpness slider that allows you to adjust how sharp you want your image. So if you have thought the image from the Mini 3 Pro was a little too sharp, then you can now reduce that. Noise reduction allows you to control how much noise suppression is applied to the video. And if you record with the Mini 3 Pro a lot in low light or at nighttime with high ISO values, then you might already know that at them higher ISOs, the Mini 3 Pro starts to apply pretty aggressive noise suppression. So it's nice that you can now manually control this. Now, these sliders also work for images, but just be aware that these post-processing effects only get applied to JPEG photos. They don't get applied to raw photos you take with your drone. Now, one of the best new features, and also the one that might confuse you the most, that has been added with this firmware update is shutter and ISO priority. Priority modes sit somewhere between automatic and the manual or pro modes and allow you to control some of the values while the drone automatically controls the rest. With these, you can manually set shutter speed or ISO and let the drone automatically control the other value for the right exposure. To use this, you first want to make sure you're in manual or pro mode, and then you want to simply turn on the auto icon next to the value you want the drone to control automatically and off against the value you want to manually control. In ISO priority mode, you manually set the ISO while shutter speed is controlled by the drone. In shutter priority, you manually set the shutter speed while the drone automatically adjusts the ISO. The nice thing here is that in manual mode, we can only increase or decrease the ISO in full stop increment. Whereas in shutter priority, with the ISO automatically being controlled, it can change in 1/10 of a stop values, giving it much finer control to get the exposure just right. So why would you use these modes? Well, let me give you a few examples. Let's say you're recording a sunrise or a sunset, and you've set your shutter speed to be twice your frame rate to get natural looking motion blur. So if your frame rate is 30 FPS, you would set your shutter speed to 1/60. And if you use ISO priority, the drone will automatically control the ISO by increasing it or decreasing it to keep your image properly exposed as it gets brighter with a sunrise or darker with a sunset, while keeping your shutter speed twice your frame rate so you get that natural looking motion blur. Another example of why you might use this is say you're out flying on a sunny day. Again, you want motion blur, so you set your shutter speed to be twice your frame rate, and you use an ND filter which is right for the time you take the drone off. But the sun disappears behind some clouds, it gets slightly darker. Well, in ISO priority, the drone can start to control the ISO by increasing it to keep your image properly exposed as it starts to get darker around you, while keeping your shutter speed correct for natural looking motion blur. So if that's why you might use ISO priority, why might you use shutter speed priority? Well, this will be good for them times where shutter speed is less of a priority. If you're flying really high, for example, or there's not much motion, but you want to maintain a low ISO value so that your image doesn't become noisy. The update also now adds support for wide angle lenses. To try this out, I have the new Firmware wide angle and anamorphic lens kit. This kit comes with a wide angle and anamorphic lens, but today we will focus on just the wide angle lens. This attaches to the drone just like any other filter, so you remove the cap that's currently on the drone by twisting it, and then twisting on the wide angle lens. You can see that once you do that, the drone instantly recognizes that the wide angle filter has been attached with this notification on the top left of the screen. This wide angle lens has a field of view of 111 degrees, which allows you to capture much more of your surrounding. The wider your field of view, the more of the scene you'll be able to see in the frame. This also makes objects close to the lens appear a lot bigger than they actually are, while making objects further from the lens appear a lot smaller than they actually are. Wide angle lenses also exaggerate the distances between objects, making subjects at moderate and far distances seem further away than they really are. The really nice thing about these wide angle and anamorphic filters that come from Firmware is that the kit also includes ND filters, an ND 16, 32, 64, 128 and 256, and these can be clipped on top of the wide angle lenses, allowing you to use it on sunny and bright days and still maintain a low shutter speed. If you want to pick up the wide angle and anamorphic kit from Firmware to try out filming with a wide angle lens, then I will put a link in the description down below where you can pick that kit up. So there you have it, a really exciting update for the DJI Mini 3 Pro that brings some features we have been asking for a while, and other features that will allow us to use our drones in more creative ways. Now, if you liked this video and you learned something new, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up and clicking that like button down below. If you love all things drones and want to know how to get more cinematic videos and better photos with your drone, then I recommend you check out my channel where I have a ton of other content to help you level up your drone game. Make sure to click that subscribe button and make sure the notification bell is ticked so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. If you want to stick around and see a few more of them now, here's a few I personally recommend, and I'll not keep you back any further. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you over there.